G'day homesteaders, how's it going? My name's John Green and I'm here to talk about changing an old wood-fired stove from an Irish house. Our house, it's 3 floors, it's a townhouse, but the house itself is over 110 years old. The oven in there is from 1954, I think, or 1956, 1954. Anyway, the same oven has been in there for 60 more years, maybe 70 years. I'm not sure how long it's been in there, but it's been there a bloody long time. It's still got the manual, and here it is. It took a bit of work to get it out. To tell you the truth, the main sticking points were simply unhooking the boiler. And unhooking the boiler, I had to call a plumber because I really didn't know the right way to go about it. And when you don't know how to do something properly that's really important, like water or electricity, you hire a professional. Only 45 bucks an hour. This might be sold online for 100 bucks or so. I'm sure it weighs minimum 150 kilos. When you put the doors and all of that on, I don't know if it's like 200 kilos, it's bloody heavy. It's just solid. You can't use it as an anvil, I'm told, because the metal on top will actually break and crack when you hit it with a hammer. So it is not going to be an anvil. It is just going to be sold on to the next person or given away if they want it, because I'm just sick of looking at the bloody thing. I mean, of course, it's a lovely old classic, you know, made in Dublin oven. It even, look at that, Hammond Lane Iron Founders. You know, they made a certain number of these, and I'm sure they were awesome at the time, but to be completely honest, the water boiler leaves a lot to be desired, and half of this oven, more than half the oven, alright, so 2/3 of this oven are for heating up food, which we will never ever do. I mean, look at the state of the stuff in there. Who wants to put food in there? Anyway, that was an oven in the olden days. We don't use ovens like that anymore. So we've gone and I've spent a few $100 on, you know, Mayo buy and sell or whatever on Facebook. I bought an oven for a few $100. Hasn't arrived yet. Should be here tomorrow. Here's the space where the oven used to be. That's where the boilers will be hooked up again. I've had to make a frame. I don't know if you can pick up on this, but that frame is not even. Why isn't it even? Because the wall is not even. Alright, so this actual wall behind the chimney, which probably was a giant fireplace, to tell you the truth. In the olden days, this was probably a big fireplace. See how big the mantelpiece is? And then they sealed it off and put an oven there for your health and well-being. And now I have to build a frame. I've put a bit of silicone around the edges and that so the concrete won't pour out. That's the plan. The silicone all around the edge so the concrete stays inside. I've put a little sand in there for no good reason, just sort of to hold down the couple of iron rods and that are in there. It's only a little bit of sand, but I'm going to be pouring on a whole bunch of this very liquid concrete. I think it's got about 4 shovels of sand and about half a bag of concrete, so it's actually a very, very strong mix. I don't know if it's going to be a problem. I think it's actually a pretty good consistency. I want it to be kind of liquid, so it takes longer to set, but there's a better chance of getting a flat top on it, so there won't be any lumps. It's so frustrating when you measure something perfectly, and then when you come into the room you realize that one side of this wall is over 2 inches further back than the other side of the wall. So this side over here is over 2 inches further out than that one. So in order to make it look like it's square, I had to cut a couple of inches off that one and then sort of put it into that shape. So it is still a square, and it is perfectly square with the floor. You can sort of see that line where it follows. But the wall is not a square thing. So by trying to begin with a square wall was really a mistake. The floor itself was a better indicator. I'm going to be pouring some concrete in. Alright, just try and get a good perspective here. Pouring concrete inside the house is always a bit messy, so you have to leave a lot of room. And make sure to clean up after yourself, or the missus will have your hide. Alright, this was a real headache. It was a headache because mathematically it didn't make sense, but visually it is the correct measurement. But like I said, there's a couple of inches give on one side. So if we had bought, let me just say this bit in person, we priced a stone for the bottom of the stove, and it's quite common for people to take a nice big piece of marble that's been cut especially to put under a stove, and we priced one down the street at the hardware store, and it was 170 euros, so maybe that's like 200 American dollars, 170 euros for a bit of stone. And the problem would be that if you put the stone flat against the wall, as any normal person would, it would look off center. It would be tilted off to one side. And then if you try to make it square at the front, all of a sudden your $200 stone has a gap at the back where all kinds of, like, you know, fluff and dust and ash and stuff would fall into, and nobody wants that either. I'm very glad I'm making this myself because I'm saving at least 200 bucks. And once this goes in, we just leave it for a few days, let it get nice and hard, and then the stove will be here. Actually, the stove will be here tomorrow, but we won't be putting it onto this platform because the plumber is going to come back on Monday or Tuesday, and he's going to be here with someone to hook up all the pipes and make sure that it works properly. I'm not sure how much that's going to cost because they're going to dig some holes into the wall here. But I think I've saved money by not buying a giant piece of granite because it wouldn't have fit. It wouldn't have been the right size no matter how perfectly square it was. Alright, so I'm going to try to film this in the least obtrusive way, so you get an idea of what's going on. We've got to get it close without it interfering with the work itself. Right, so I'll try to make it square there. Alright, so I'm going to pour this in little by little. I don't want to pour the whole lot in because it's going to cause complications if it's too heavy or something starts to happen and I can't control it. It's going to show you the consistency. Just got to make sure it's really well mixed. No lumps, no nothing. A little excess water is okay for me right now. It'll help me flatten it and level it. You know, you only worry that you haven't put too much or too little. Too much I can deal with. I don't want to add extra concrete later. So the idea is it should be about 1 inch or so thick. A little higher would be fine, but not much higher than that. If you're wondering what's in there, it's actually the grill from a different oven and some pieces of metal. I always try to steady up my concrete work with a bit of iron. Alright, let's see how we go. So it looks like the concrete was a good measurement. I didn't want it to be too thick. Now I just have to sort it out. This is a floor trowel for flooring, so I get it nice and flat. It's a bit tricky with this bar right here, to tell you the truth, but this bar is the thing that's holding this whole thing square. So I have to just deal with it. Vibrators. But anyway, you can do the same thing just by banging on your frame.
I felt many things, but this feeling's new. I just gotta get down, gotta get down. Whoa, whoa, my, caught my eye. How did the heaven make one so fine? You know I felt many things, but this feeling's new. I just gotta get down, you know I gotta get down.
And one of the reasons it takes so long is just to make sure everything settles and that all the bubbles and things disappear in time. At the moment I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, you can see a couple bubbles on top of the water, but they're not bubbles in the concrete. It's pretty consistent, looks pretty flat. I have to wait a while before we see anything happen. There's quite a bit of water still on top, so I'm not sure if I want to mix a little bit more concrete, put a bit more on top. I might do that. Yeah, I might put a little tiny bit extra just to sort of thicken it up around the edges and things. but come back to me. This thing will be finished very, very soon. I'm going to finish for today anyway. I'm going to let this thing settle. I don't think I'll add anything more to it. It looks pretty good. It'll take about a day or two to go hard, and then I can take the frame away on Monday when the plumber comes to install it. You see it's quite shiny. The important thing really is that the water covers the whole surface, shows that everything underneath is going to be quite flat. So thanks for watching. Anyway, my name's John Green. I'll show you what happens to this when it's set. And thanks for watching. This has been Green Ideas right here on the west coast of Ireland. And we're removing an old Irish stove and putting in a modern Irish stove. Alright. Here is the slab months later, after frequent use with the new Fireplace. You can see it did get a little split in the middle. Nothing serious. The rest of it held up very, very well. And the colour went very pale. I think what I might do is just paint it, and then I can fill in that little crack in the middle. The important thing is that the crack is nowhere near the feet. I like how I did the edges with a bit of silicone inside. Sorry, a little bit of acrylic on the inside of the frame. Makes that nice corner. And it's only about an inch high. About an inch and a bit. Alright, so that's it. Glad to show you the finished product. Sure, it's a little dirty around there now, but we've been using it. As you can see, we burn our scrap wood and our old farm wood and things like that that come out of the granary. We burn all of that stuff. So it goes to put a lot of use. Love that fan too. Very handy little thing. 25 bucks. Helps circulate the warm air. It runs on heat. Alright, thanks for watching. My name's John Green, and that is the end of the project for the kitchen slab. Thanks for tuning in. John Green, Green Ideas, kitchen slab. Great idea. And saved €180.